everyone! Welcome back to my book nook. Amanda here. Today we're going to be talking about the sequel of Children of Blood and Bone, which is Tome Adieme's Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I did not like this book. I'm hoping that the problems that I have with this book are problems that are regarding the fact that it is the second book of a trilogy and not that the amazingness of the first book was all put into the first book and does not exist anymore. So I'm really hoping that when the third book comes out, all of the stuff that really was problematic with this book can be fixed. So, Children of Blood and Bones ends with Magic coming back, Zelly and Amari being successful in bringing back magic, Amari getting magic, and both the king and Anan, who is the prince, apparently dying. We find out through this that Anan actually did not die. He is alive. And his mother, the queen now, is very, very adamant that she is going to finish what her husband had started and do it better. A war has kind of begun with magic coming back. The Magi are fighting back, and the queen is trying to kill them all. And we find out that the queen and other members of her army are utilizing magic to do it, but are basically using blood and life in order, their blood and their life to do it, which can make it very, very powerful, but it's less controllable, but it's stronger than what the other Magi can use, which is helping them kind of win. The Magi is more of a rebellion force. The only character I enjoyed during this book was Anan. He was the only one that had character growth and character development. He was actively trying to stop the war that's going on. He's trying to broker peace. He is trying to make up for the mistakes that he did. Zelly is like, I don't trust him. Oh, he wants to broker peace? Let's burn up all their food. Amari's like, oh, we need to try to stop them from doing this thing, but you know what? I'm going to also, in my attempt to stop them, pretty much massacre an entire village in order to do this. I was so infuriated with the actions taken by these characters. The only character, like I said, I liked was Anan. He was the only one that had any character growth or development. Zelly and Amari completely lost any development they had. They became more, in my opinion, the villains than what was being presented as the villains, which was the queen, who, yes, is also a villain, but she stayed on that path the entire time. Anan was almost being presented kind of as a villain, but you know what? He was the only person that was actively trying to do something good. All in all, I give this book a 4, maybe a 5 if I'm feeling nice. My decision on regarding whether or not I will keep this book will all depend on how the last book is. If the last book is really good and goes back up to the level of the first one, then I will keep all 3, because it's part of the trilogy, and it probably will be needed to bridge that gap between 1 and 3. But if the third book isn't good, I'll be getting rid of both the second and the third one and just keeping the first one, because the first one was amazing, and I loved it. And then this really hurt on how poor the story was, how poor the decisions of the characters were. The logic behind what they were doing wasn't there, and I was really, really disappointed. Like I said, I'm really hoping the third book is really good. and that what happened with this is just the falling victim to the middle child syndrome of a trilogy. I'm really hoping that's the case. Because I'll be really sad because of how good that first book was, how good her writing is. If it all came out in that first one and the rest just are lacking. So, it's hard for me to tell whether or not yet if I recommend this book or not. A lot of that will ultimately depend in regards with the third book, and then the concept of, do you need to read the bridging book in order to have the trilogy work? Or do you not need to read it? Does jumping over it, would you be fine if you just read the first and the third? Or are both the second and third gonna be problematic? So, like the video, subscribe so you can get all the other ones, and to make sure you don't miss any, ring that notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone!